Hello, everybody. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure to be here as always. Thank you all very much for joining me this week. So, full disclosure, honesty moment between all of us as we're all friends here. This episode is late. I understand. I'm sorry. I am sorry this episode is a couple days late coming out. Here's what happened. So we did last week a wonderful interview with Nathan, the race director of the Liberty Half Marathon. The Liberty Half Marathon is coming up on March 25th. We are super excited. It's the first race in the Heartland 39.3 series. You know, really the big kickoff to the spring running season. And something happened in the transfer of the audio file or whatever, but by the time the episode got to producer Katie, something happened with the audio. You can't hear or understand a thing, and the whole thing just went down the toilet. So I am really sorry. I apologize to Nathan with the Liberty Half. And I talked to him about it. He understands the situation. Again, I'm sorry, everyone, that this episode is late and that I couldn't get you the episode I wanted to get you. So what we're going to do instead is Nathan is actually going to join us on the show live from the expo. So on Friday, March 24th at the Liberty Half Marathon Expo, he's going to join us and we're going to record right then and there from the expo. So that's going to be really fun. So if you're running the Liberty Half, make sure you drop by our table. We actually are going to have two tables out there. There's going to be the Back of the Pack podcast table where I hope you will come and join me. And then right next to it, we will have our table for the KC Hustle Run. And our race director, William, is going to man that table. And we're just going to kind of be migrating back and forth between the two. Then make sure you come. And if you haven't signed up yet, you can get signed up for the KC Hustle Run 5K or 10K being held on September 17th here, 2023. So you still got some time, but go ahead and sign up now. This is the cheapest it's going to be. So again, apologies to the Liberty Half. We had a great talk. You know, the race is looking good. Same course as last year. So if you ran the course last year, you're going to be good to go for this year. Of course, you can't do anything about the hills out there. That is just a hilly part of town. And there is nothing that can change that, no matter how hard we try. So be ready for the hills. Get your hill work in here in the last 3 weeks. And let's just be ready to rumble come March 25th. I like that race. I'll be out there. I'll be doing the half. I know a lot of a lot of our listeners will be there. I don't know. No one's really listening to the show for me. It's more for the information and the guest. I get it. So we'll have a great presence out there. So please stop by the booth, say hello at the expo, and then we'll see you at the run. So I think that's really all that we got going on by way of that. I know the lottery just came out for the New York Marathon, and I know anytime I say New York Marathon, several of you are cringing because you're tired of me talking about it. Well, boo on you. I'm going to talk about it if I want to. But the lottery is completed. I definitely saw on social media, several people I know made it. If you made it, congratulations to you. Some folks I saw did not make it. I'm sorry. You know, either look for a charity bib or look for some kind of promotional thing that will get you in. That's what got me in. It was a promotional, I don't know, it wasn't even really a contest. It was a promotional registration through MasterCard that I really thought was fake. But I kept looking into it and kept researching it and found it was actually legit. So I was able to get into the New York Marathon back in 2021 through a promotional piece with MasterCard. So there are ways to get in if you did not make it through the lottery. I hope you will pursue those. And then let's see, the Tokyo Marathon that just ran 2 days ago. So Tokyo, one of the big six, is done for the year. I know I had 2 or 3 people I know out there doing Tokyo. Lucky people. I don't know how I'll ever get that race done, but congrats to those who finished up in Tokyo. So the next World Marathon major, I think we're on hold until either London or Chicago, whichever one comes first. They're within a week of each other. No, I'm sorry. Berlin is actually before both of them. So Berlin, Chicago, London are all coming up. And then, of course, we've got Boston in 3 weeks. No, a little more than 3 weeks. A little more. No, I'm sorry. Whoa. Oh, my goodness. I'm so frazzled because now Boston's in my head and I'm scared to death about it. Boston is in about 5 weeks. So, yeah, I'm not mentally prepared. Not at all. So that brings us to another point. because we have so many points that we need to go on this makeshift episode that we weren't really planning on. Getting Kyle to Boston. I know. I've been harping on it for a while. It's because we're getting really close and my fundraising is not where I thought it would be at this point. So I have to beg upon my wonderful, loving listeners to try and help me get to Boston so that I can cover Boston for the podcast. And yes, cross off my number one dream race that I've wanted to do ever since I first stepped foot at a starting line of a 5K. Everyone dreams of Boston. I need help with Boston. Remember, we still have our little raffle going on. So if you donate to my charity page, the Boston Athletic Association charity, for me, $25 gets you an entry in the raffle. $50 gets you 2 entries into the raffle. $75 gets you 3 entries into the raffle. And if you do 100, I'll give you 5 entries just because I'm a heck of a nice guy. And so on and so forth. So we still have a little ways to go. We've got some time, but the raffle has a little over a week left. So if you won in the raffle, donate now. The first place winner is going to get a registration to a race of their choice, and I will pay for it. If you decide you want to do the Kansas City Marathon full, that's on me. If you decide you need to do Hospital Hill, that's on me. Something around town, something local, or even if it's something a little ways away, of course I can't pay for you to go into Boston. I'm having enough problem paying for myself to get to Boston, but I can certainly cover a registration for any of the races around here. Whatever you want to run, it's on me. Second place winner in the raffle is going to get a free entry to the KC Hustle Run on September 17th that we already talked about. 5K or 10K, your choice. That's on me. And then third place, you will get a Back of the Pack podcast t-shirt and one of the 3D printed medal holders that producer Katie has been putting out. And they are so cool. 3D printing, who'd have thought? But it's amazing. So please, please, please go to our social media pages. Find any of the times I posted about my Give and Gain page for the charity and just go donate. I'm keeping track, and your name will be in the raffle appropriate amount of times based on however much you donate. And trust me, the sooner we reach this charity goal, the sooner I don't have to talk about it anymore. And that will make all of us happy if it's just done and taken care of, and I don't ever have to mention it again. So there we go. So on this makeshift episode, this little hodgepodge we're putting together, I was thinking, what can I cover? I know what I'll cover. So I recently had a birthday. Yay, go me. Just a couple weeks ago. It was my birthday. I got a year older. That's funny how that works. But it did get me thinking, the joke in the running world is, the older you get, the closer you are to qualifying for Boston. And, that's just a fun way to go because, of course, qualifying times, they get little easier, little higher when you get older. However, I don't even think I would make it for a 90-year-old. Honestly, whatever their qualifying time is, I probably couldn't even do that now. And I just turned 43. So, other than that, I don't know. What are the basic thoughts about aging and running? So I looked it up. And of course, number one, even as you get older, the more you run or the more you still do any kind of exercising or sports or just staying in general shape and continuing to get in work and get in exercise, it's positive. It's good for you. Like there's no way it's never not going to be a good thing. Anytime you can run, anytime you can get exercise, that is good for your overall health as you continue to age. So that is point number one. But then I found it's a decade by decade training guide that helps you, kind of learn where you're at running age wise. And so I found it to be kind of interesting. So I thought, I'll share that with everyone. And, what they say, and this is our people over at Runner's World, and they were taking a look at an 81-year-old who finished, I think, a full marathon. Let's see. Yeah, she was 81 years old and she's 26 she completed a triathlon at 26. Now at 81, a marathon. Anyway, that's just kind of crazy. There's another story of a 53-year-old who went, sub 420 for a mile. So, it used to be that 4 minutes was like untouchable. You couldn't get a mile in 4 minutes. Well, this guy's 53 and he ran it in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. They break it down here. So here's what to expect in each of these age ranges. Okay. So in your 20s, which I am long since past being in my 20s, but 20s, this is a time you can get away with not worrying much about recovery says the doctor who was part of the study. It's also the age where you're building a foundation you'll carry with you through life, so play it smart. They say in your 20s, this is when you should start cross-training. You may not realize it, but you're developing stresses and imbalances that build up and can reach a breaking point. Stresses accumulate slightly, but like a heart attack, it's not a sudden thing. It's been building up, says this doctor. If all you do is run, you'll develop more issues that can haunt you down the road. Cross-train twice a week with another sport or strength training to create balanced fitness. Now, of course, they associate this with the 20-year-olds. I think everyone needs to do this, and I'm terrible at it. I'll be the first to admit I'm really bad. Most of the time, I just run. However, just this week, as I'm recording this, some of my other sports have picked back up. So Monday night, playing 2 softball games. I play men's softball on Monday nights, double headers. Tuesday, I've got my indoor soccer, and then I've got my running to fill out the rest of the week. So I'm getting a little bit of cross-training going on. They also say here in your 20s, listen closely to your body. Injuries are the number one reason runners stop running. Getting hurt now sets the stage for more serious injury down the line. For runners, 98% of those injuries are overuse. Wow. 98% of injuries are overuse for runners. Let's see. It says you have to learn to be a good body listener now, picking up on and addressing pain cues early, so shin splints don't become stress fractures and tendonitis doesn't become chronic tendonitis. Recognize what running patterns lead to injury. All right. And then in your 20s, it says feed your bones. Maximize your skeletal strength now. Both men and women hit peak bone mass by age 30. Though women are at higher risk for low bone density, research finds young, lean, active men like runners in their 20s are also at risk. That doesn't mean you need to stop running. It means you need to eat enough to fuel your recovery, which in turn maintains bone mineral density and testosterone, and for women prevents menstrual cycle dysfunction, says this doctor involved. So it says follow hard runs with protein and carb-rich snack like whey protein, fruit smoothie to refuel right. And again, a lot of this is stuff we already know, but it doesn't hurt to throw it out there. Okay, but now we're moving up to our 30s. So in the 30s, life can get a little complicated in this decade. You're growing in your job, maybe starting a family and settling into a house. Balanced intensity and recovery are key to maintaining form on a time budget. So what they suggest in your 30s, train with intervals. VO2 max, how much oxygen your body can use during exercise, slips 10% per decade after age 30. Running can help you stem the decline to about half of that, but intervals may even boost it, says an exercise physiologist. When you do high-intensity intervals, your heart rate stays elevated during the recovery periods. So you're still tapping into developing your aerobic energy system. Go for short, hard intervals like 400s to 800s to build your aerobic system while also recruiting fast twitch sprint fibers, which diminish with age. Performing 3 to 6 of these leg burning efforts, allowing 1 to 2 minutes of recovery in between, can have impressive effects. Okay, so again, if you're really big into the intervals, sounds like you should have been doing that in your 30s. Maybe for all of us a little above 30, we should probably start doing that as well. Something else they say for your 30s, prioritize recovery. Intervals are like medicine. They only work if you also rest and allow your body to recover. Something too few goal-oriented runners do. They wake up early, they go to bed late, they work long hours, and they train way too hard all the time. Then they fall apart. The solution? Limit hard workouts to twice a week. Take 1 rest day a week and make sure 50 to 75% of your training is endurance intensity in which you can talk easily. Now, they're experts. They're all smarter than me, and I get that. Now, I remember way a long time ago when I was starting running, I had heard that the pace that you want to set, the pace that you want to run for, your 5Ks, 10Ks, halves, whatever's, is a pace where you can still maintain a conversation easily. Here they say talk easily. I heard it as conversation easily. And that always boggled my little mind because when I'm running, I can't hold a conversation. I'm running. I'm working hard. There's no chance that I'm just going to be able to leisurely talk to someone. I'm going to throw out our ambassador and pacer, Amy. When we came across each other at the Plaza 10K back in September, I mean, yeah, we talked, but it wasn't easy. Like it was not just an easy, leisurely conversation for me. So yeah, I had to talk to her in between breaths. It wasn't that I could just maintain this real easy conversation. You know, I had to catch my breath, get my sentence out, catch my breath, get my sentence out. So I get that this is the logic. This is not where I excel in life. Let's just say that. All right. So continuing on here in our 30s, and this is the prioritize recovery. It says, get thee a foam roller. Sorry, I just like the way they put that. Get thee a foam roller and use it daily, says a doctor. The 30s are when you need to be vigilant about maintaining your body. Consider foam rolling like flossing, necessary to prevent unwanted breakdowns. Roll out your leg muscles, calves, hamstrings, quads, adductors, and abductors to prevent knots that can restrict movement and lead to injury. Again, in theory, this all makes sense. How great are any of us at actually following this? I know I'm terrible. Credit to race director Will, who keeps his roller in his car. Now, he doesn't use it, but he keeps it in his car. So you know what? That's half the battle. Good job, my man. And then lastly, for everyone in their 30s, adjust your diet. Your metabolism starts dipping to the tune of 5 to 10% a decade during adulthood. So even if you're still active, you can notice weight creep if you don't fuel accordingly. Protein is key. Getting 30 to 40 grams per meal will help maintain muscle integrity and body composition. So here's the big one for most of us, at least a lot of the people I know, and myself included. Here is running in our 40s. Dun, dun, dun. So 40s. And I love the way they start this. Boy, this is great. The risk of running-related injuries jumps significantly after 45. This is the time when you need to stay strong to stay in the sport. Strength train year-round. Muscle mass starts declining at age 40. So start strength training twice a week year-round. Losing strength may be imperceptible at first, but it's happening, and it sets you up for injury since your muscles support your joints. And that's very true. For instance, running doesn't build your quads, which support your knees, a high-risk injury spot. Very true. It also doesn't build upper body bone, which can slip away at a rate of up to 2% a year in women after age 40, 3% after menopause. Strength training twice a week all year can turn back the odometer, says this doctor. It's non-negotiable for masters athletes. Yes, if we're over 40, I guess we're masters. It's the only thing I've ever mastered. Okay, so let me jump right back in that right quick. Just to reiterate, running doesn't build your quads, which supports your knees. So runner's knee, which so many of us have dealt with, is because of the weakness in our quads. And again, running is not going to make our quads stronger. Again, for those in the back, the running doesn't make our quads stronger. And I'm saying this more so that it gets into my pea-sized brain as well. We have to work on the upper body. We have to work on quads. So strength training year-round, at least twice a week. Raise your hand if you do that. Okay, very few of us have our hands up. I do not have my hand up. Both my hands are firmly on my armrest right now because I am not strength training year-round. I am horrible at strength training. But now with this, looks like I'd better get on it pretty quick or I'm just going to keep having problems. And I don't want problems. All right, so next up, it says, let injuries heal completely. Oh, this one's going to smack a lot of us in the head. 69% of masters athletes try to push through pain in order to stay active. You might have been able to get away with this when you were younger, but not now. Little nagging pains can become full-blown injuries. Prevent injuries through cross-training, strength training, and recovery, but if they do crop up, it's important to let them resolve fully so they don't become chronic. I don't think any of us wanted to hear that. I know I didn't. I am one of those, you play through the pain. And I do that with running. I do that with sports. I do that with darn near everything. I kind of feel like if I were to just sit and wait until nothing hurt, I would never be active again. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I feel right now because I've just dealt with pain in my body for so long. it's just a part of it now. So yeah, letting injuries heal completely, again, in logic, I understand. In practice, far more difficult. But you have to do you. I'm gonna do me, but you do you. But let the record show that they say to let the injuries heal completely. Next, eat lean and clean. It's common to notice your waistline widening as body composition tends to soften during this decade. Strength training helps, but you need to pair it with sound nutrition. Now is not the time for extreme or trendy diets, which can backfire by increasing cortisol, a stress hormone, which encourages abdominal fat storage. Eat healthy carbs from whole food sources like veggies, fruit, and ancient grains. Have protein at every meal and consume plenty of inflammation-fighting healthy fats from nuts, seeds, fish, and avocados, all of which will also keep you satisfied longer so you avoid overeating. I don't like any of that either. All right, then the last one we're going to go over here, in your 50s, which I know a few of our listeners, in my eyes, everybody's 23, but I know a few of us are getting closer to 50. Again, you look 23. You look fabulous. I love you. 50s, muscles get tight and connective tissue loses its elasticity, a 1-2 punch that can cause injury and force a shortened stride, slowing you down. Make range of motion a priority, okay? Prep your body. Warming up is essential now. Get the blood and synovial fluids flowing to lubricate your joints, especially before hard training or racing a 5K. And then their last one, stretch it out. So pretty short with the people in the 50s. I guess they figure at this point, oh, no, you know what? They could go longer. We could go up into our 60s and 70s. We'll touch on the 60s real quick. It says try Tai Chi. try low impact and slow motion exercise. 70s and 70s plus. Good news. If you're still running now, you've avoided or successfully overcome injury and disease that can sideline runners in their later years. This is the decade when most runners notice performance decline, but these tips can help you keep going. Prioritize strength work and then watch the weather. Your body's heating and cooling systems start to conk out due to decreased circulation and sweat rate, leaving you more susceptible to hypothermia and heat stroke. Your perception of how the temps affect you also diminishes. So check your weather app daily and hydrate and layer appropriately for indoor and outdoor runs. So, okay, who would have thought that 70s plus, you just got to worry more about the weather? Of course, if I'm still running in my 70s, I'll be the happiest guy I know, because I don't expect that's going to be the case. Not with as broken down as I am at 43. So there we go for, a little makeshift episode. So there we go. That is running and aging. Hopefully you guys got a little bit out of this. If not, you can tell that I was completely ill prepared and threw something together for your amusement. The things I do for you. I hope you appreciate it. I work so hard. So that's kind of where we're at on this one. Don't forget that coming here in just a couple days now, by the time you hear this, is our party down in Westport. Yes, it's going to be cold. It's going to be gloomy. So you know what? Come run 4 miles and then go inside a bar, because that's what you should do on cold, gloomy Saturdays, is run a race and then get inside, because it's going to be gross. But we're going to be there after the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. I hope you guys will come and join us and sing happy birthday to the podcast. This is our 50th episode. So that's pretty cool. We're at episode 50 now. We only missed 2 weeks last year? That's not too bad. We've had an episode almost every other week. Wow. All right, cool. So there we go. This is episode 50. All right, go team. So we got our birthday coming up. We've got the KC Hustle Run on September 17th. We've got tons of races coming up that we will be at, that we'll be working with. So you will find the podcast everywhere. Don't forget to go to the website, www.backofthepackpodcast.com. You can read all the blogs on all the races that we've run, even ones that I haven't been at. Our ambassadors are now getting some blogs out there. So you'll hear from people that aren't just me, which is always better, which is really great. And so that's it. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I am Kyle Walker, your host with Not the Most. My pleasure, as always. This show is produced and put together by producer Katie O'Neill, and we are brought to you by OKKC Sports. So thank you for joining us. Have a great week of training. We will see you Saturday for our birthday party. Hopefully we will raise a green beer in honor of this delightful little podcast of now 50 episodes. So everyone, we'll see you Saturday. Bye. So there we go for, a little makeshift exercise or a little makeshift episode, not exercise. I can't talk. Not bad for a makeshift. Nope. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is terrible.